The cost of living in the UK is rising and it's changing people's lives.
I'll be warm and starve.
Royal Blackburn Hospital.
Here in the UK, a fresh wave of strike action. The largest nursing strike in NHS history is underway. Rail workers in the Ireland have already walked out.
We have consistently spoken to all the unions involved in all the pay disputes that there.
In 1959, the young chemist Margaret Thatcher helped develop the iconic British ice cream Mr. Whippy, a cheap, popular ice cream containing flavourless, low-quality air from a machine of dubious quality. There are also many fun anecdotes about how she, during her 11 years as Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, gutted trade unions and introduced policies of fierce privatisation, leaving a legacy of Reaganomics which still trickle down our society to this day. But we're really missing the forest from the trees here. Now, the UK has a reputation for taking it on the chin in regards to any terrible working conditions, and don't tend to vocalise their complaints either. However, this isn't necessarily their fault. Thatcher was committed to reducing the power of the unions, who she famously referred to as the enemy within, and often accused them of undermining parliamentary democracy. Under Thatcher's premiership, around 57% of workers belonged to a trade union in 1979. And in 2020, this number weekly stands at 23.7%. The UK has since been walking a thin line of economic instability, with minimal recovery since the 2009 recession, rising rail fare costs, cuts to healthcare services, post-Brexit inflation, and a global pandemic to boot. It'll only take one final event to push the UK over the edge. In October 2022, the UK experienced the sharpest rise in the price of consumer goods in almost 4 decades, with prices still increasing in 2023. Milk has risen by 46% and bread by 23%. But with the cost of living so severe, surely the government are doing something to help, right? Right? Since the 24th of May 2022, various public and private sectors have been striking. The first to strike were the railways, after disputes that their rate of pay should match the cost of living. This was the first UK national railway strike in 3 decades. Following that came bus drivers, doctors, nurses, junior doctors, postal workers, bin men, and most contentious of all, teachers and university lecturers.
My name is Dr. Adrian Grant. I'm a lecturer in history at Ulster University. I'm a member of the Universities and Colleges Union, former branch president, and currently I'm the anti-casualisation officer for the Ulster branch. In and around 2008, there were cuts to the pension, and that mobilised a lot of UCU members to call for strike action. Workloads at universities have spiralled out of control. Casualisation continues. There are gender and ethnicity pay gaps that are unsustainable. Add to that then pay demands that have gone unfulfilled for 10 years. In the context of a cost of living crisis and inflation, that issue has really come to the fore for our members. The union hopes to achieve fairness for its members, fair pay in the current climate, fair working practices for our members, the end of precarious work, and dignity in work. We want to see our members' pension benefits restored, and we want to see equality in the workplace. There was a threat or an attempt to cut the defined benefit aspect of our pensions. The union managed to defeat that as a result of strike action. This time last year, for example, the branch engaged in a market and assessment boycott, and we reached a deal. We managed to ensure that anyone who was employed at the university for 4 years or more would be offered a permanent contract rather than a fixed term contract. We got a cost of living payment for members. So industrial action can have significant benefits for workers. It's always a last resort, but it's a last resort we don't take lightly.
But what about the students? What about them? So many valuable days of learning lost because people want to be paid more? But that's exactly the point of the strikes. Lecturers, doctors, nurses, even postal workers, by disrupting essential services, are showing the importance of their labour. Our labour is being taken for granted, and we, as the younger generation, need to support those around us. Because if we don't fight for better working conditions now, the generation after us will be entering the workforce with the skin already stripped from their backs. And there'll be fuck all we can do about it.
So what can we do? Keep supporting the strikes. Post about it on social media, show up to the picket lines and support your teachers. Get in contact with the relevant unions and ask what can be done directly. The last general strike was in 1926, and we don't have time to wait until 2026. And it just might work. It's already working for our friends in France.
Take aim! You'll bleed! They could never control me!